topic is E100, ambitious or practical? Ladies and gentlemen, let's invite our distinguished panel on stage, welcoming our moderator, Mr. Nikhil Moghe. Can we please have you on stage? Mr. Nikhil? Can we have a round of applause for our moderator for the next session? Can I see more enthusiasm from the audience? Can we have a round of applause, everybody, please? Welcome to you, sir. And now I'd like to welcome our panelists. Can we have on stage Mr. Yashodhan Mankame, Mr. Vijendra Singh, and Mr. Sachin Malusare. Requesting all of you to join us on stage, and you can also be seated as per how your names are displayed on the screen. Thank you so much. Can we also please have Mr. Vijendra and Mr. Sachin on stage? Welcome to Mr. Vijendra Singh. Please have a seat. Let's get started. We also have to keep our timelines in mind. We'll have a 30-minute session. And with this, I hand over to our moderator, Mr. Nikhil. Over to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We have had a very enlightening session. The earlier panel, we discussed a lot about E20 and the run-up to E100, and there are a lot of policy elements, fiscal elements that have been talked about in the earlier panel. What I want to focus on this panel is a little futuristic, and I'm calling it futuristic, and I would want to have your views whether it is futuristic or not. So Yashodhanji, I'll just come to you in terms of E100. Praj being one of the major technology provider, leader for ethanol. What's your view on E100? Are we there? We are not there? 2 years, 3 years, 10 years? Technology, how does it shape?
So if you look at transition from E20 to E100, what is required is transition in the whole ecosystem, where ecosystem would involve agricultural development of feedstocks. There'll be technology for both 1G on 2G technology. Also, launching and technology development in terms of E85 and flexi-fuel E100 vehicles, and also development of the infrastructure in terms of logistics and distribution. So this whole ecosystem needs to be developed. As an expert on technology, what I would like to say is, as far as technology development on first generation ethanol is concerned, technology has matured to an extent where now There is, higher yield of ethanol. There is higher ethanol tighter in the systems. And there is technology which has been implemented for reducing utility consumption in the ethanol plant. So, on the 1G side, technology development is matured. What is also happening is scalability, where the earlier plants were like 100,000 liters or 200,000 liters per day. Now these plants are getting scaled up to 500 to 1,000 liters per day. So the scalability in technology has also happened. And with this scalability also implementation of cost reducing systems. On the second generation side, of course, second generation technology is maturing. The first plant as Panipat is now operating at about 60-65% capacity. Second plant is under commissioning, and we would shortly have the third plant. So on the second generation, there is still some time to go. But as we move forward, there will be technology development happening which will reduce the cost of production as well as capital investment, so that 2G technology can be extensively adopted in India. There is also a lot of work which has happened on development of the biorefinery concept. So going forward, we see sugar industry getting developed into a sugar biorefinery, where apart from sugar, biofuels and biochemicals are being produced. So on the technology front, I would say that there has been a significant development, and we are there as far as implementation of E85 or E100 is concerned. But of course, a lot of work needs to happen on the ecosystem development. So yeah, this ecosystem scale up needs to happen for full implementation.
Yeah, so it's more about ecosystem because technology anyways exists. So it's about the ecosystem from grounds up till, looking at the entire fleet system, if I were to or bottom down, right? From the refineries till the, getting into the vehicles. That's the ecosystem that you're talking of. Vijendra ji, I'll come to you. The Council General of Brazil, he was talking about, he said there's this law for the fuel of future, right? Quite interesting. There's something similar to what had happened in the Indian CBG ecosystem, right? There were a lot of policies that have come in. The Satat policy came in, then there was this CBG, CGD synchronization policy came in. There are a lot of support systems that had come in from MOPNG, even from MNRE, Central Finance Assistant, that had come in on the CBG side of things. You have been working in Brazil, right? You understand that ecosystem from an operational perspective. Now, what are those structural differences between Brazil and India? If you could just highlight from, for the audience and for laymen like me, if you could just tell us what are those structural differences that differentiate us from Brazil? Because from there, then we can pick up what is it that needs to be done, right? That will give us a lot of inputs in terms of run up to, say, E100. One is definitely a large scale ecosystem, but then those specific elements, if you could guide us, it will be very useful.
Sure. So what Brazil has done, India just started doing that, frankly speaking, and what we are picking the policies, technology, we are picking from Brazil fundamentally. If you see Brazil today, current situation is that this ethanol sector, sugar sector, cane sector, corn sector, totally deregulated. So everything market driven. They don't control any quantity and price of any sector here, except the petrol, diesel price they fix. Because it's only sold by the government company. Petrobras is the government company who import crude and distribute the diesel and petrol. So if I'm let's see one by one. I'm a sugarcane producer. I can buy cane any price I want. I can produce sugar as much I want. I can produce ethanol as much I want. And when I have to go to market, I can sell ethanol any price. It's not that, it's a bilateral. So every day you go to market, you sell the ethanol, and there's an indicative index for the country, they call ISAC, which gives an idea about what price is moving around in the whole crop period or crop period, both. So first is that it totally deregulated. And once it deregulated, the all industry can take the decision, financial decision based on their capability, their priorities. Second part is sugar industry can decide how much sugar I want to produce, how much ethanol I want to produce based on the economics of the day. So they decide about, we'll make 50-50, we make 40-60, they decide accordingly to that. This is the first part. Second part, for consumer, the consumer go to a pump, he has a 3 petrol available for his car. I'm talking car only because we discussed the car. So pure petrol, for example, will be about $6, 6 real, which is a local currency. Blended petrol, which will be about 5 real, roughly. And blended means the government is regulating the blending ratio. Okay. It is started 20, then 25, 27. Now currently it's 30. Already government now 32. So they're going to implement 32 very soon. So any petrol available which is blended 32% or 30% today, sorry. Then third would be the pure ethanol. There will be another lower price. So as a user goes there, he has a car which is suitable all 3 fuel. Yeah. He choose whatever you like that point of time. So how the ethanol price controlled indirectly by the government, they don't increase the petrol price. Okay. So if don't price, petrol price doesn't go up, ethanol price will not go up. So that is the only little bit control they have. Yeah. Otherwise, it's free to export. Import obviously with duty. Yeah. So this is one side. Third is policy. Policy I think fully matured now. Government doesn't interfere anything anywhere except they decide the petrol price on the pump. Okay. And taxation on these products. They tax petrol, they tax ethanol also, the petrol, diesel also. On diesel side, they are very aggressively doing biodiesel blending now because diesel became expensive because of the war. So they are increase the blending of biodiesel, which is their target is 15% very soon. About 7-8% they are today blending. About bio-CNG and 2G. 2G, I think only one company in Brazil started, that is Ryzen. They put 10 plants and financially, economically is not found to be very suitable. Okay. So perhaps the company in crisis for that matter also. For biogas, recently they have come out with a policy about biogas also. And now with biogas being encouraged, big way, they put a pipeline and you get the connection of the pipeline when you put a biogas plant and it can be flow to the grid and it can be supplied to the grid like biogas. So the whole ecosystem is through agriculture process and this whole process moves like this. Yeah. That is what India need to go.
Yeah. So essentially, what you're saying is that there are differential grades and then there are differential pricing. Right? Let the consumer decide what price and which grade they want to use, depending on how they see performance within their vehicles. Maybe efficiency is also one of the factors that the consumers might be looking at.
So these cars are very versatile. So you need not to worry about what you're going to use actually. You buy it, use and it's okay. And that's what we are advocating. You see our association, AIDA, has been advocating this and me also in person also. That the difference price should come. Price should be differentiated between blended, non-blended and pure ethanol. And I think the 2 things has come up already. Third will come is pure ethanol.
Yeah, but this differential is essentially for the efficiency. Is that so?
Yeah, obviously. It's efficiency.
So that's the efficiency that looks at the vehicles.
That's correct.
Okay, great. Interesting. Sachin, I'll come to you. While we spoke about the infrastructure and the ecosystem on a broader context. From your perspective, how do you see specifically from a supply chain angle? If you're looking at E100, what are those top 2-3 things that comes to your mind that we should start doing from now till the run-up period? I don't have a year, maybe 30, 32, 35, 47. But what is it that we should start doing, maybe take some baby steps towards the infrastructure creation from a supply chain perspective?
See, one thing, what we have seen, one good thing happening recently is previously we had this chicken and egg situation. Like where are the vehicles and where are the pumps? Now at least we have both the things. But the real challenge what we see as of now is handling the movement of the product. Because the ethanol has to go from manufacturer to the oil company and then it has to go to the retail pump. Now, in this, what we see is like today we are moving closely like 1000 crore liters of ethanol for 20% blending. Let's say even with E85 and E100 vehicles, we move to let's say 40% or 60% or whatever percentage of ethanol is there. We need to move at least 2 times, 3 times of the ethanol volume. And today majority of the ethanol what we are moving is on the road trucks. Very small volumes are moved by like, railway rakes and all. So moment of ethanol will be efficiency challenge in this because you will need large number of tankers. Now subsequently the infrastructure at oil company depots where ethanol is unloaded. Today also like lot of producers see ethanol tankers waiting for decantation there. So we need to develop that tankage capacities also where the turnaround time can be reduced so that the efficiency can be brought in. And the third major challenge we will be having is on the retail outlets.
Sorry, I didn't get
Retail outlets.
Okay.
Yeah. Because currently, if you see our retail outlets are handling like, a single blend product, that is E20. When you have multiple options like, E20 or tomorrow E30 or let's say even E85 or E100, we lack that infrastructure on the retail outlets because ethanol will be coming majorly from the rural parts of India. So it is easy to implement these policies in the areas where ethanol is largely available. We should start from that areas and then gradually move to far away areas. But in these rural areas, if you see the retail outlets are very small. Like if you go to a city like Mumbai, you can find a big outlet. On the highway outlets, you will find 10 nozzles working. But rural areas, you will have limited nozzles. So the infrastructure is very limited. Storage tanks, underground tanks are very limited. So we need to develop that infrastructure to handle these multiple blends. And that will take obviously certain time.
So that's you're saying that that's the long lead item that we should start focusing on. Maybe take some baby steps and work towards it. Something that it's happening on the green methanol side. I've seen that there are a lot of players who are, as KPMG, they come to us in terms of investments, and they're looking at investing into the green methanol segment, especially in the Andhra Pradesh belt. So that is something that we can look at here as well if you're looking at E100 push. So maybe that's one of the point. I'll again come to you, Yashodhanji. Praj sits at the intersection of innovation and implementation of large-scale projects, right? Be it 1G, 2G. You work very closely with OMCs also, right? Now, E100, when it comes, is it replacing petrol? And if so, then how do you see those stakeholder collaboration coming in? Because we have got such big refineries, mammoth refineries coming in, right? They are not going to produce ethanol from sugar. So what happens to those refineries? How do we look at that coinciding with this and, maybe take on, what's your view on stakeholder alignment if you have to go for E100?
See, going to E100 on a larger scale, all said and done, replacing petrol with E100 is going to be difficult because the scale itself is very big. So, this will be a complementary fuel. It will be a complementary fuel for blending in petrol, and as we go ahead, complementary fuels like isobutanol are also going to be developed for blending in diesel. So we don't see any conflict over there because going forward, a lot of development needs to happen in terms of scale. Number one will be agriculture. Agricultural development both on 1G and 2G feedstocks need to happen. So a lot of time and effort is going to be spent on that. Also, a lot of work needs to happen on carbon pricing, because as we move forward, we see that carbon pricing is going to play an important role, and this will benefit all the stakeholders in the industry, including the refiners. and development of a robust carbon calculation system to reduce carbon intensity of the fuel, and then development of a robust carbon market in the country where all the stakeholders benefit. So going forward, this will play a very important role. And of course, development on the auto sector, where automobile launches of different type of vehicles, E85, E100, both two-wheelers and four-wheelers, where the consumer has a wide option on what type of vehicle he wants to buy and what type of fuel he wants to use. So it's going to be a very dynamic situation where we feel that all the stakeholders in the industry will benefit.
Yeah, so essentially from a OEM perspective or auto OEM perspective, you're saying that they can be, blend of vehicles, so to say. So because see, Maruti is looking at EVs, Maruti is also looking at CNG, and then you're saying that there could be a flex fuel, entire range of flex fuels, which gives consumer a chance to look at which fuel they would want to buy. That's on the auto OEM side. And on supply side or from an infrastructure side, you said that we have to have those tankages and everything coming in place. And pricing side, you said that there has to be differential pricing that comes in. So if we stitch all these three together, then that is kind of a good recipe for moving towards
yeah, and
E100.
the carbon markets adding to the revenue structure of all these players, which add to the benefit.
Carbon markets, okay. So you're saying the carbon pricing then?
Yeah,
in that
carbon
case.
pricing, yeah.
Okay, and then, so that takes care, essentially that takes care of, that takes care of the
Improving
overall
the
economics then.
economics of the whole industry.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, Vijendra, I'll come to you, and some of these discussions have happened in the earlier panel. I don't want to put you on spot, but pricing is something that I want to discuss. Now, E100, do you think, and this is kind of a out-of-the-box wish list that you might have, can there be a formula for that? A formula for that. See, I worked with MOPNG on diesel formula. As KPMG, we worked for a biodiesel formula. Unfortunately, it didn't work because the biodiesel industry, they didn't. So while they were a part of it, but unfortunately, it didn't work for some reason. Do you think a formula would work?
Actually, it won't work. Primarily, ethanol production need a raw material which is either sugarcane, or rice, or corn. So our government intention always had been that the farmer should be given a better MSP than he was getting last year. So every year, this price of these products are being increased by FRP or MSP. And once the raw material prices goes up, ethanol price need to go up. Where the petrol price is governed by the global price. So two things are really mismatching here. And we are not open society like Brazil, I explained just now. We are controlled by many factors in the chain. So it has to be some logical numbers which will not be mathematically done up. So sometimes will be, so like we had just now, 82 per liter of E85. So E100 will be lower than 82, but it cannot stay there longer because you need to pay more money to the corn producers and rice producers. So we need to make a balance everything here. Idea is, what is the idea here in the country, that we are importing a lot of crude and petrol. Our petrol consumption increases year by year. We sell about 45 lakhs car every year and 2 crore two-wheelers. So the all new vehicle come in the market and they all consume petrol. So we need a petrol for the current vehicles and vehicle being added every year. So whatever surplus of sugarcane or sugar precisely, corn or rice is being produced in the country should be converted to ethanol and replace the imported petrol, the same number. And 1 liter of petrol replaced by the ethanol, you save the foreign exchange, when I need to repeat again, energy security, self-dependence, and produce a circular economy where you grow corn, process it, make ethanol, consume it there only. What my vision would be, if next step of this 100, that rural economy should be run around these factors. Today what happened, I give an example. Ethanol produced in Kolhapur, come to Vadala here, get blended, the truck go back to the Kolhapur to sell the E20. Is a waste of energy and transport. If Kolhapur guy who produces ethanol is allowed to dispense E100 there, somebody running a bike, a car, he just go there, fill it up, and see kind of saving you're going to have. So this is the next vision of our system would be about availability, as explained to you. All surplus will go to ethanol production. So I'm not saying it will be 1100 crore or 2000 crore. It will be changed as per the availability. And then you replace excess this all like big cities like Delhi, Mumbai, Bangalore. They are struggling with the pollution measure now. Lot of pollution happening. Their AIQ is very bad. So you can visualize that, okay, down the line 3 years, all petrol vehicle will be phased out. Either EV or a flex vehicle. See the impact on the environmental you're going to save. So this all, we have to play around our imagination, our policies around this and make everybody happy.
So this is something that has happened in Delhi, right? With the Supreme Court order coming in and the CNG, being mandated for public vehicles. This happened in Delhi. All the auto rickshaws and cars and cabs were converted on CNG, and it worked to a certain extent, right? So maybe something that you're saying that similar could be adopted, say, in a combination of, or it can be, you don't have to give the percentage that so many vehicles should be EV. You can say that it either has to be EV or a flex fuel. Okay, great. Sachin, I'll come to you. One of the things that Raviji mentioned, I don't know whether he's here or not, but he mentioned consumer awareness as one of the major focus on the adoption. So one is the infrastructure, pricing, fiscal incentives, and so on and so forth. That's on the production side. Now, on a consumption side, if you are looking at consumers who go and fill their vehicles with these kind of fuels, they should have confidence that, okay, fine, this will work. It will help me in either saving money or, because end of the day, to be very honest, consumers are very less bothered about the cleanliness of the environment, right? So it's more about, what gives me comfort, what gives me savings. It's mostly about that, right? So from a consumer awareness perspective, what is your thought? How this can be, brought in? We are still a little away for E85 or E100. E85 is still there, but E100 it's still far off. So, and I like the idea of Raviji, which he mentioned to Uppal, that why don't this platform as ChiniMandi, you start doing the advocacy. It's very important for anybody to do that advocacy. The same thing happened in CNG. Nobody was willing to convert because they said that average kam aata hai and all that stuff, right? So what's your view on consumer?
You gave very right example of CNG. Why the adoption of CNG was faster? Because compared to your petrol vehicle, the energy equivalent cost or running cost was lower. And that is why many guys were converting, like even existing cars were converted to CNG, or new purchases were happening on CNG. So similarly, in initial level, when you need to promote your newly launched product, you need to give some scheme which will attract the customer to you. So, currently if we see the E85 pricing, which is launched in Delhi at 80.12 vis-a-vis regular petrol at 102.12, which is 20 rupees discount, which is like, I feel it is equivalent on the energy term. But to attract the customer, you have to give some additional discount on energy term basis. The reason for this is basically any change is always resistible. Yeah. So how do we reduce that resistance is by giving some temptation. Like a best example is EV policy in Maharashtra, wherein why somebody is buying EV, because he has lower registration charges. He pays only 5% GST, wherein on your normal ICE engine vehicle you pay 28% GST. Third best advantage what they have is like no toll. It's toll free. So lot of savings are there. So that is what we need to replicate in, flex fuel vehicles, where, it's a proven model. We are not asking anything extra, but on the similar terms, so that customer will have that advantage. Otherwise, what will happen? You're similar, like as an energy content basis, you are driving similar miles on the same cost, but at the same time, your capital cost is high. So then there will be very less interest to buy a new vehicle on flex fuel category. So we need to give these initial promotional schemes, and maybe to compensate it off, or to keep people away from your normal petrol vehicles, and maybe you can have some green energy cess on a normal petrol vehicle compared to a flex fuel vehicle. So this will help the transition faster. Of course, everybody is not buying a car annually or something. Second best advantage for us will be like adoption of flex fuel kits, because that will be a lower hanging fruit, where existing old vehicles, which are like, people say my vehicle is E10 compliant and you are forcing me to put E20, there that will come very handy, that his vehicle will ride from E10, will go to E85 level. And that will be the biggest boost for the consumption.
So from a pricing perspective, and I've seen this operating in other sectors as well. And if you talk of solar, a lot of multilat comes in and they help the sector to grow, right? So there is a bridge funding that comes in, there's a viability funding that comes in, and so on and so forth. The likes of ADBs and World Bank, they've been doing a lot of good work on clean energy technologies and clean energy fuels. Something similar can be done in this space, and there are a lot of green funds who are willing to fund this. The entire European pension funds, they are sitting because they want to invest in green fuels. So something similar can be done. So if I were to sum up, we have the technology. So technology is not a question, it's about the ecosystem that you mentioned. We should look at innovative pricing, and that's what you said, and there could be real innovation in the pricing, and the decision could be given to the consumers to how to look at. And we need to have a lot of robust supply chain in the system, run up to E100, we can have that supply chain coming in, including the consumer awareness and so on and so forth. And my addition to that was, if we can have some multilat coming in and funding these things, and it could actually stitch a good story for all of us, right? So thank you so much. It was a pleasure speaking to you. I think I hear the bell, so we can close it. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much to our moderator and to our panelists for yet another. Yes, you were absolutely bang on time. Thank you for doing that for us. I would like to request the lovely Miss Kona Haq to please join us on stage to felicitate our panelists and our moderator. And also I would like to let our audience know that it's been so nice of Miss Kona to join us all the way from London. She has specially traveled for this event, so thank you so much for that, ma'am. We are so, she's all the way here from London to attend the conference. So we are so honored that she could join us. So can we please begin with the felicitation now? We'll begin with our moderator, Mr. Nikhil. Can we please felicitate him? Can we have a round of applause, everyone? Mr. Yashodhan. Mr. Vijendra. And Mr. Sachin. Thank you so much. Can we all please come together for a group photograph? Can we have Ms. Kona in the center, please? Thank you so much, everybody. Please have a seat. Thank you.